Hello and welcome. Today let's talk about goods transport agencies, GTAs in short. A GTA can be any person who provides transportation services by road and who issues a consignment note. This is a typical form of the consignment note which I'm sure most of us would have come across. In today's video, let's talk about GST related provisions for these GTAs. Basically, we are going to talk about reverse charge and forward charge for these GTAs. If you are a GTA and if you wish to choose forward charge, then how can you do that? And once you opt for forward charge, what are the things that you need to consider? And what to choose, reverse charge or forward charge? And in the end, if you are a consignee or a consignor, that is if you use transporter services for your business, then what are the things that you need to remember? Under GST law, if you are a GTA, you have two options. One is to choose reverse charge, the other is to choose the forward charge. Let's first talk about the reverse charge. If you choose reverse charge, first, GST registration is not compulsory for you. Second, service recipient, that is either the consignee or the consignor, whoever pays for the transportation charges, is required to pay GST. Usually under GST, supplier of goods or services is required to pay GST. But here service recipient pays GST, so that's why it is called reverse charge. Let's now talk about forward charge. If you opt for forward charge, then registration is compulsory for you once you cross the threshold limit. Usually threshold limit is 20 lakh. And being the service provider, that is being a GTA, you are required to pay GST. But this forward charge option is not a default option. So if you want to choose forward charge, then you have to specifically opt for it. We'll shortly understand how can you do that. Now the rate of GST. If the consignee or the consignor has to pay GST, then rate of GST would be 5% and consignee or consignor will be able to avail input tax credit. Under forward charge, where GTA is required to pay GST, there are two options here. First, 5% GST but no input tax credit. Second, 12% GST and you would be able to avail input tax credit. Now that we have understood the basic differences, if you wish to opt for forward charge, let's see how can you do that. For this, you need to file something called Annexure 5. And this can be done online on the GST portal. This has to be done once in a year. And the last date to file this annexure is on or before 15th March of the preceding financial year. For instance, for financial year 2023-24, the last date is 15th March 2023. So if you wish to choose forward charge for the next financial year, then ensure that you do it within 15th March. Let's now see how to file this annexure. Navigate to the GST portal, click Login, enter login credentials and log into your account. Click Services, User Services, opting forward charge payment by GTA, click Proceed, select financial year 2023-24 and click Go. Once you do that, you would be navigated to this screen, that is Annexure 5. Here you need to give your consent. Basically, you're saying that you would pay GST because you have opted for forward charge, and you're also aware that once you opt for it, you would not be able to change it for the same financial year. We'll shortly talk about this. Click Proceed to file. Once you do that, OTP would be sent to your mobile number or email ID. Enter OTP and file this annexure. Now, once you have filed this annexure, there are two key things that you need to remember. First, once you opt for this forward charge, you will not be able to switch back to reverse charge for the same financial year. Let's say for financial year 2022-23, you have opted for forward charge. So for the same financial year, you cannot switch to reverse charge. For the next financial year, that is financial year 2023-24, if you wish to choose reverse charge, that is RCM, all you need to do is to not file this annexure. But if you want to choose forward charge for the next financial year, then ensure that you file this annexure on or before 15 March 2023. 2. You need to issue tax invoice and charge GST. In addition to that, you have to include a declaration in the tax invoice. Here is the format of the declaration. Basically, you say that you have taken registration and you agree to pay tax for a particular financial year under forward charge. After knowing about the differences between forward charge and reverse charge, if you are confused which one to choose, let me make it easier for you. Here are some of the factors which you may consider before you make a decision. If you choose reverse charge, then GST registration is not compulsory for you and other compliances are also not required. For example, you don't have to file monthly or quarterly GST returns, no annual returns, etc. So if you do not want to get yourself registered under GST and do these compliances, then reverse charge is the option for you. Now forward charge. If you are someone who would like to stay compliant and if you are of the view that this registration and compliances would help you grow your business, then forward charge is the option for you. Here again you have two options, 5% no ITC and 12% with ITC. Now which one to choose? If your vendors are not compliant, that is your vendors are unregistered persons, or let's say you mostly deal with the unorganized sector, then your input tax credit would be limited or it would be low. In this situation, choosing 5% without ITC is the best choice. But if your vendors are compliant, that is you deal with GST registered persons and you would be able to avail input tax credit on most of your purchases, then choosing 12% is the better choice. But here you need to remember one thing. If your average rate of GST, that is the GST that you pay on your supplies as reduced by your input tax credit, if this is more than 5%, then it is better to choose 5% without input tax credit. But if this average rate of GST is significantly lower than 5%, then this 12% is the better option. If you are a consignee or a consignor, that is, if you use transporter services for your business, let us see what are the things that you need to remember. First, you need to check if the transporter is a GTA or not. Here is a consignment note. If you observe here, the service category is transport of goods by road. So it is obvious that here the transporter is a GTA. Once you are sure the transporter is a GTA, you need to check if the GTA has opted for forward charge or reverse charge. If it is a forward charge, then the GTA would issue you a tax invoice and GST would be charged in the tax invoice. Also ensure that the declaration which we had earlier discussed is included in the tax invoice of the GTA. If this is missing, then ensure that you get this declaration from the GTA to avoid non-compliances from your end. But if the GTA has opted for reverse charge, then being a consignee or a consignor, you are required to pay GST under RCM, that is reverse charge mechanism. Here we have the consignor's copy of the consignment note. If you observe, here the transportation charges are paid by the consignor and GST charged is 0. So here the consignor is required to pay GST under reverse charge because transportation charges are paid by the consignor. Unless the transportation is related to certain exempt goods, say agricultural produce, milk, etc., on which GST is not applicable. Alternatively, had the consignor booked this consignment on two-pay basis, then consignee was required to pay transportation charges. So it is the responsibility of the consignee to pay GST under RCM. This is all I have for you. Hope the video was informative. Thank you for watching.